Welcome to a brand new episode from Keyboard Hitter. This is Keyboard Hitter AngularJS series. In the previous video we have talked about AngularJS controllers in details. And this is AngularJS episode 7 where we are going to talk about AngularJS $scope in details. So stay tuned. Your support is all I need, so please hit the like button below. And please subscribe Keyboard Hitter for more upcoming AngularJS tutorials. So let's not waste time, let's move on. Today's video is going to be very interesting and important because the $scope is a very important topic in Angular worlds. In the previous video we have seen how we can attach complex object to $scope. We have also seen how we can attach some behaviors like functions to $scope within a controller and how we can pass them to a view so that view can access these properties and function. Now this $scope works as a glue between view and controller. So view and controller communicate with the help of $scope. Controller never manipulate DOM directly. Okay. Similarly, view has no direct access to controller properties or function. It always accesses them with the help of $scope. So here we have one controller called demo controller. So why not create another controller? So again, what we can do, here we can give a dot. We can again use a controller and let's define another controller called demo ctrl second, or second would be fine. Then let's define an JavaScript anonymous function. So there are scope, this, close this. Okay. Now you can see within our application now we have two controllers. One is demo controller, one is demo controller second. Now when we will use this controller to the view, so Angular will automatically inject this $scope into it. Now demo controller has its own $scope and demo controller second also has its own $scope. Now within demo controller we have one property called test message, we have employee, and we have one function. So let's bind some properties in demo controller second as well. So $scope dot user equal age equal 10. So now you can see we have two controller has their own scope object. So within demo controller I have two properties binded and I have one JavaScript function within $scope, and in the second controller I have one JavaScript object attached to the $scope, which is a user object where I have one property called age equal to 10. Now let's go back to the view and see how the scope inheritance works. Now here we have this body element where we have attached this ng controller, demo controller. So let's do one thing. Take this ng controller out from the body element and create a div here and keep this ng controller inside of this div. And what we will do, we will take all this code from here and we'll keep them inside this div element. So now within this page we have one div element where we have attached this demo controller and our ng-app directive is there in the body element or body tag. Now we will create one more div and assign the second controller there as ng controller. Then we'll copy the second controller and we'll assign it here. Now in the second controller we had one user type property or object. So if we do like user.age, so let's go back to the browser and see how things are looking. Okay, so here things are fine, I guess. We have one button. On click of this button we are getting this alert, and then we have this first name, second name, first name test, second name user. So till this portion, this is the part of the first div that we have created in the HTML, and this one is the part of the second div which is associated with the second controller. Now in the second controller we had one user object where we had age property, so this age property is displaying there. Okay, now what if we try to access test message within this div? Will it be possible? So let's see. Let's go back to the browser, and here we can't see anything. So again, Angular framework will try to parse this expression, as because this div element is inside the ng app directive control. So this piece of code will be taken care by AngularJS framework itself. So Angular will see these curly braces and it will try to parse this expression, and when it don't find this property within the scope, so it will just not show anything. Okay, so now this property is there inside demo controller, and this div is under demo controller second. Okay, so that is why we are unable to access this test message from within this div. Now what if we cut this div from here and we paste it inside the parent div or inside the other div? Now, so in the outer div we have demo controller attached with, and within that div we have one more child div where we have this demo controller second attached to it. Now so here the demo controller becomes the parent controller and demo controller second becomes the child controller. So automatically demo controller second will inherit the scope property of demo controller itself. So now within this demo controller $scope object we have this test message, and as because demo controller second is inheriting the properties from the demo controller, so within demo controller second $scope object will have access to this test message. So Angular framework, when Angular framework will see this piece of code, so first it will try to parse or find this property from its immediate controller, that is demo controller second. When it will not be able to find this property within demo controller second, so it will go to its parent controller, that is demo controller, and it will try to find from there, and it will find this test message property within demo controller. So now if we go back to the browser, we can see the hello world text. So what we have seen, we created one parent controller which is demo controller, and as because we kept this div inside the outer div, so technically this demo controller second become the child controller and it's inheriting the property from the demo controller. Okay, so again if we take this out, take this div out from the outer div, and if we keep this outside of the demo controller div, so now if you go back to the browser, again we won't get to see the results. So this is how Angular scope inheriting the properties from its parent scope, and one parent scope is giving access to its child scope to access the property of its own. Now here, so let's do it again. So let's keep this div inside the outer div. Now here within this div we have one user object, and then we have one age property within this user. Now what if we try to access this property from the parent controller? Will we be able to get it? So let's go back to the browser. No, we can't. Here you can see only 10 is got printed, but there is no 10 in the parent controller. So for our better understanding, let's do one thing here. Let's keep a span parent controller age colon span close. Okay, copy this text, paste it over here, and it's like child controller age. So if we go back to the browser, we can see the parent controller age has nothing, but the child controller age has 10. Okay, so this is how we got to see that parent controller properties are being available to the child controller, but child controller property is not available to the parent controller. So in this episode we have seen like what is $scope in Angular worlds and how $scope inheritance works there in AngularJS framework. Now in the next episode we will see how one scope $scope emit event to its parent scope and how broadcast events to its child scope. We will also see what is root scope, $root scope. So in AngularJS framework we have one concept called root scope, $root scope. So likewise $scope we also have $root scope. So we will see what is $root scope and what is the difference between $scope and $root scope. So for now that's it for now. If you like the video, please leave a like below and please leave your feedback in the comment section below, and I'll get back to you with all your queries. So I'll come up with a new episode from AngularJS tutorials. So till then, stay tuned and thank you very much for watching this video. Please subscribe my channel for more upcoming AngularJS tutorials. Stay tuned. Thank you very much.